Hello and welcome to the Racing Gambit presented by USAWager.com on the Sports 2.0 network. We are here, it's Friday, that only means one thing. We're going to talk some racing, and we have some quality racing action taking place this weekend with a lot going on at Santa Anita. Obviously, I'm not going to do it alone. I'm joined by my good friend Ace. Ace, how are you doing today? Are you excited for the weekend?
We got graded stakes races, coast to coast, Florida, New York, California. It's going to be a beautiful day here. I'm excited.
Yeah, we might as well get straight into it and get stuck in. We'll start with the San Felipe Stakes at Santa Anita, a Kentucky Derby prep race with 50 points on the line, over 1 1/16 miles. There's a purse of $400,000, and Ace, I think we're both a bit excited to see one particular horse in here.
That is correct, and that's the morning line favorite, Forbidden Kingdom at 8-5. So, I have a friend who has a stake in this horse. We both, Alex and I, have him at 150-1 to win the Kentucky Derby. And if he wins this race, he's in the Derby. He is the speed of the speed. He's fast, and the only question is, will he last? So this is going a mile and a 16th. He's going 2 turns for the first time. I am really hoping that Richard Mandella has trained this horse to get this distance, because then after we get a mile and a 16th, we got to stretch out just a little more to get that mile and 3/16 for that Derby prize. I think there's only one other horse in this race, and we've already beaten them, and that's Doppelganger, which really odd, I think, from a morning line odds perspective. Like Forbidden Kingdom's 8-5 and Doppelganger's 9-5, and Doppelganger already lost to Forbidden Kingdom. But did you see this as a non 2-horse race?
No, I'm with you. I think I don't have a reason to doubt that Forbidden Kingdom can't go that extra bit. It's just that kind of question in your mind where you think maybe not, because we don't know, we haven't seen it yet. I do, like you say, I think Doppelganger is probably the main danger. The other Baffert horse, I don't think is much of a danger in here. The other one that I kind of flagged up a little bit was Cabu Spirit, who won the Eddie Logan Stakes over a mile at Santa Anita. I think he's of interest, but he's carrying a bit more weight in this, isn't he? He's got a penalty.
Yeah, and not only that, I also looked at Cabo Spirit and I said to myself, well, yeah, they've won a graded race on the turf. I'm sorry, they won a stakes on the turf. They took third in the graded stakes, but only by a half a length. And the only reason I looked was because they can get the distance, right? Like, we know that a mile and a 16th isn't going to be a problem for this horse, just based on them winning at a mile, right? Their first dirt experience, they run into Messier and they get crushed by 15 lengths. Maybe this horse runs back better, but I really do think it's a 2-horse race, and I'm really hoping that cheat, Bob Baffert, doesn't send that other Baffert to the lead to mess with Forbidden Kingdom as a rabbit, so Doppelganger can just close it in all the way home. Oh, Bob would never do such a thing like that. Enter 2 horses in a race so one of them can set it up for the other one? No way.
I feel like he's on a bit of like a one-man sabotaging mission at the moment to kind of make sure that nobody gets maximum points. Because
Well,
you see all these horses entered in these races, but they're no good being there.
right. It's the biggest races for the 3-year-old, so yeah, you want the money, right? The purse money helps. But yeah, I think he wants a derby where like somebody with 4 derby points can get in or something, because he's just going to be, not allowing anyone to get those first place points. But I'm hoping for Forbidden Kingdom to stretch out. He's going to be on the lead and on the turn for home. It's just, can he last is the big question. So I'm going to go ice cold Forbidden Kingdom Doppelganger exacta.
Yeah, I could just see the odds. I put up the odds yesterday for this kind of to like roll across. I could see there Cabo Rivers 20-1. At 20-1, man, I'll be sticking him underneath Forbidden Kingdom and hoping for the best, that he just kind of tries to get there, but then he's kind of a bit late and he doesn't get there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Cabo Spirit's much smaller in on our pools over here. He's 5-1. But yeah, it's really something. I just Forbidden Kingdom Doppelganger. I think it's a 2-horse race the whole way around.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they're the two best horses in the field, and I mean, Forbidden Kingdom's going to the Derby anyway, so
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. It'd be nice to have some live tickets.
yeah. And next up, then we've got the Fountain Youth Stakes, which is sticking with the Kentucky Derby theme. This one's also worth 50 points. It's a grade to over 1/116th miles. This time at Gulfstream Park. Todd Pletcher's won this a joint record 3 times, and I really like his chance in here. What do you think?
So, this race is really interesting to me because, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, like, I looked at the whole Gulfstream card and I go, wow, I really like all these horses who haven't raced in like 6 months. And I'm like, what am I doing here? But I think the big news coming out of this is that, is the scratch of the 12, the morning line favorite, right? And so we look at the Fountain of Youth and we say, well, who's performing well lately? And it's simplification. He's getting he's morning line 5-2. He'll be shorter. He's getting Jose Ortiz aboard. He took second in the Holy Bull. He won the Mucho Macho Man before that. He's coming in good form at Gulfstream Park. I do think, like, realistically, this is the class of the field with the favorite scratching out. But I'm also saying to myself, well, why can't a price win? And if I'm going to go for a price, in all honesty, I want to go for Howling Time, the 3, 15-1. He broke his maiden at Churchill. He then ran a nice race and won the Street Sense Stakes at Churchill, and then he just didn't show up in the Kentucky Jockey Club in November, and he's been on the bench ever since. I think that's going to be my, hey, if there's a long shot that wins this race, it's going to be Howling Time. And then, of course, I like another horse who, and it's not the Todd Pletcher horse, surprisingly. I like High Oak, who hasn't run since September. What am I doing? And it's a Junior Alvarado Bill Mott horse. I hate Junior Alvarado. But 8-1 morning line, similar running type to the 3, where it's like, okay, they broke their maiden, and then they win a stakes race, and then they don't show up, and then they're benched. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on Todd Pletcher's horse Emmanuel 3-1.
Yeah, I think Emmanuel is just. I think he's probably Fletcher's his best chance at the Derby this year. I think is Emmanuel, and I think he is good. Like if he kind of romps home here, he is going to be the massive market mover. I think in the Derby, and I think you could even see him going double like 10-1 if he wins this. I think he's got a good form at Gulfstream. He's looked very impressive at back-to-back times. On his debut, he beat Touch Code with a speed figure 92. And then he built on that on the second time at Tampa Bay the second time with the speed figure 98. So I think he's a horse that's going in the right direction. Obviously, this is a different kettle of fish, though, for him because you're going into a race which is a much deeper field. But I just think he's the most kind of exciting in here. And I think if we're going to see a star, aside from Forbidden Kingdom this weekend, I think it's going to be Emmanuel.
I couldn't disagree more, but that's okay. That's why we talk things out, right? Here's my big thing. The first race at Gulfstream was impressive at a mile. It was. I'm not going to lie. Why then run him at Tampa Bay? I just don't understand. Like, this is Todd Pletcher we're talking about. We couldn't find the right race for him. And yeah, maybe something's clicked since then. The workouts look really good. You're like high percentage trainer, high last speed rating, like early speed running style definitely helps. But like the last race, he went 25-49 on the lead. If he goes 25-49, he's gonna be in like 5th place. Like, there's a lot faster horses here, and I just don't see it. I do think Todd Pletcher is going to have a few Derby horses. I just don't think this is one of them. And with the scratch of the morning line favorite, I'm throwing darts. I might go for some bigger prices, so I think I'm landing on High Oak and my 3, which was, I'm already forgetting the name, Howling Time.
Yeah, the other one that I did like at a price was AP's Secret for Sappy Joseph Jr.
Okay.
He obviously the trainer's got a good record at the track. He's already won over a mile at Gulfstream. And I think he's just got a good scope for improvement. And I'm looking at the price then. He's a decent price in there. And like you say, it's one of them races where it could go in a number of different directions. So I think I just looked at the trainer's form there, and off but the basis of that, he's got a chance.
Yeah, and you got Tyler Gaffleone, who likes winning down there. He's got early speed, and he won a race going 23 and 46. Okay, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it, right? It's a big move up in class, and this, he hasn't raced in 55 days, but you know what? I'm going with someone who hasn't raced in 6 months, so no big surprise there. So you're going kind of Emmanuel 8-7 and AP
Yeah,
Secret. Okay.
yeah,
And I'll be going with Simplification just based on recent form with Howling Time and High Oak. Some prices there for
yeah. Some good prices. If any of them come back with winners, we'll be laughing.
you. Yeah, right.
The next up, we've got the Gotham Stakes. It is at Aqueduct, and there's a field of 10 for this grade 3, which is another qualifying race for the Kentucky Derby with 50 qualifying points, a purse of $300,000, and it's over a mile. And again, this is another really kind of interesting race, I think.
I agree, and I am so confused. Bob Baffert's allowed to run here? I thought he was banned from the New York racing circuit. I'm so confused with what's going on right now. But if he's in this race with Rockefeller, I'm taking Rockefeller. I hate to bad news for everyone else, but this horse is one. He won the Nashua, right, at Belmont in November, which I guess I didn't realize that Bob was racing there in November. And then he took second in the last race at Santa Anita, the Sham. It was a good second. He lost to New Grange. There's no fault in that, right? I know New Grange didn't show up in, was it the Rebel? But at the same time, right? Like, it is what it is. I look at the rest of this field and I go, if it's not Rockefeller, I don't know who it is. Where did you land?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because you got Morello, who's the favourite in here for Steve Asmussen, and he's stepping up to a mile for the first time. I think it's interesting because you got a horse that in Rockefeller that's kind of been around a little bit and in classy kind of circles against a horse like Morello, which his biggest victory is the Jimmy Winkfield with a speed figure of 96. So I think it's just a bit of a clash, but they're both with the wide draws, which made me actually kind of reassess a little bit. So I kind of landed on Dean's List.
It's understandable.
So I like Dean's List. So I'll tell you why I like him rather than just throwing out the name. I like Dean's List because obviously he's won on both his previous starts, and I just think Aqueduct is going to kind of favour his running style, his front running style. I think it's going to favour him. So his latest run in January over 6 furlongs produced a speed figure 93. And I just think if he's in the lead coming to the final kind of couple of furlongs, I think he's going to have the pace that kind of just beats off the other Robs that are trying to kind of on the outside of him.
I hear you there, and we want to talk about Todd Pletcher and Derby horses. This is going to follow the similar path of Emmanuel. You win a maiden, and then all of a sudden you're in an open claiming race that they just happen to win. So you go, okay, here we go. What I'm worried about is what the weather is going to look like. This is a Florida horse coming all the way up to New York in early March. Might not like the temperature change, and also like you mentioned, stretching out, going a mile for the first time. Both went at 6 furlongs. I'm going to take another Pletcher for my long shot. I'm going to go with Golden Code, the 3, Kendrick Carmouche at 12-1. First race, They took second. They had no idea what they were doing. They were all over the place. It was ugly to watch. And then they break their maiden going 7 furlongs, and they win by 10 lengths. I mean, is what it is, right? Probably didn't beat anybody, but winning by 10 still is pretty impressive. This race, to me, in my head, it never plays out favorite. It never does. So if there's going to be a price, I'm going to take Kendrick Carmouche, and I'm going to take Golden Cold at 12-1 if Baffert doesn't win.
Yeah, I think it makes it a more interesting betting race because the two kind of outstanding horses in this field are both draw 9 and 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Although the one interesting kind of betting angle, I guess, is I can't remember the time of the Fountain of Youth, but they're kind of like all very similar start times, aren't they? All three Derby prep races.
Yep, and over here in the States, they're actually putting it all on one channel for us. So NBC is going to have coverage, all three on the same channel.
Is the Fountain of Youth before the Gotham?
That's a great question. Tell me who you like as a long shot, and I'll tell you coming back here.
I'm just thinking because of the different angle. So if the Fountain of Youth is first and you see Emmanuel rip it up, I think you could see a bit of more interest in Glider, who finished behind Fountain of Youth with a speed figure 91 at Tampa Bay. Because if that form then kind of looks quite good, I think Glider becomes a much more interesting proposition in stall 2.
So it's actually the Gotham goes, and then 10 minutes later 10 minutes later the Fountain of Youth, and then we get to the San Felipe.
I mean, it could work the other way. And if you see Glider rip up, then you know Emmanuel's probably going to waltz home. I think then
that would really be something, right? Yeah, if Glider comes up and wins this whole thing, which I'm really happy for Antonio Gallardo, who's on Glider of the two. I did write down the 2 Glider. He looked interesting to me. I'm happy for this horse to try this level. I'm happy for Antonio to get this ride from Marcassi. Yet again, another Florida horse coming north. I don't know how they're going to handle that weather. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So where you landed on the Gotham Stakes then?
I think Rockefeller is the class, and then I'll take Golden Code as an upset, the number 3 horse.
Yeah, I'm going to take Dean's List, which is number 5. Next up, then, we've got the Beholder Mile. So now we're outside of Kentucky Derby, so we kind of know these horses a lot more. The Beholder Mile at Santa Anita. It's a grade 1. It's the 9th race on the card. It's run over a distance of a mile, and there's a purse of $500,000. I have this one down as a bit of a 2-horse shootout. What do you think about this? I mean, we've already seen Moonlight Dioro come out of here as well.
Yeah, Moonlight Dioro scratched to no one's surprise, as I'm a part owner of that horse. They just needed the horse to enter so they can scratch it. I think this is a 1-horse race. I can see that you're going to go with this horse and one other. I just think as time goes by, it's just in great form. Their last 2 races are just so much better than everyone else's. And I know it's going to be short odds and it's going to go off even shorter with Moonlight not in the race. I just as time goes by is one of them for you, right? Who's the other?
Yeah, as time goes by is obviously the one. And then the other one is Envutante.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the only 2 coming into with any kind of graded form behind them. And I mean, the market suggests that anyway. The one thing that does put me off as time goes by is she just isn't kind of cutting it at that grade 1 level. Whereas with the Envutante, I mean, it's not an easy name to say either, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah.
She's kind of stepping up. Like last year, she was stepping up into the company of like the Truskers and the She Dares a Devil. She was coming up against horses that we kind of see as superstars and coming up short, which I mean is a different thing altogether, I think. And I just kind of put it down to this horse is going to win because there's not another superstar in here.
That's understandable. I do think, especially for fillies, that if they're not winning all the time, they forget that that's what they're supposed to do. Like, yeah, to your point, right? Like thirds behind Latruska look great, right? You're like, oh man, this horse losing to a super horse. But I also think it like puts something in their brain to be all like, oh yeah, I'm comfortably fine running thirds and seconds, etc. Where like, as time goes by, the last two races, just put on a show. Like, and as I've watched those races, because Moonlight is on that circuit, made my horse not look so good. Like taking seconds and thirds to this one. So I think they're in the best form, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I mean, I definitely put it down as a 2-horse shootout. I mean, Avante and Vutante did win last time out as well. She obviously got the full city over 1 1/8 miles. I mean, I think she's very classy, and I think it's going to be interesting to see her in this kind of. I mean, there's no denying this is, as time goes by, his chance to win that Grade 1.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't, then I think Connections will have every right to be very disappointed.
No, I agree, and I'm glad that they're trying the Grade 1. To your point, right? Like, I think this race is just all hers, and then yeah, Edutante, a distant second for me, but I don't blame you if you're putting her on top.
I mean, either way, you're picking a short price horse here, isn't you?
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough, but yeah, I just don't see an upset coming here.
So next up, I guess this is the feature of the card at Santa Anita, the Santa Anita Handicap, a Grade 1. It's the 11th race on the card for horses aged 4 and older, and it's run over 1 1/4 miles. I mean, we've got a big field, a decent field in here, I should say. I mean, I go back to putting up Stiletto Boy to finish third in the Pegasus World Cup, and look at him, he's back in here again. And I just think he's a bit more of a good thing in here than like he probably was in there. I think he finished quite well in the Pegasus.
Who took third in the Pegasus?
Stiletto Boy.
Oh, Stiletto Boy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. This is so tough. I just think like their form before that was not great. I'm glad that they took third, but that was also a 2-horse race. I'm all over Express Train, and it's only because of the last 2 Grade 2 wins. Like, you know, they beat Hot Rod Charlie, they beat 8 Rings, and then they come back, and you know, I know Stiletto Boy has beaten Express Train before. You know, they've been in some similar races. I just think Express Train has finally found their groove, and they seem to really enjoy Santa Anita lately. And that win in the San Pasquale was impressive, beating Law Professor, who came back to win their next race. Like, I think this horse is in the best form, and yeah, we all like Hot Rod Charlie. For someone to beat Hot Rod Charlie recently, you know what I mean? That's a sign of something for me. And I know it's yet again very chalky. But
Yeah, I mean, this isn't. I mean, it's kind of a hard handicap to try and handicap, I guess, because you're looking at probably the two with the top weight here, because the rest of them in here aren't really much of muchness, are they? Really?
yeah, and like, you got Baffert throwing Cezanne out there again, you know? What are we doing? Like, that horse can't get that distance, can they? Like, but who knows, right? You just don't know with some of these horses. And what I really wish, like, you know, you got Hudson Ridge again coming back. You got all these horses that it just doesn't make any sense for them to be running in these races. But like, it's a Grade 1, and you know, where else are we gonna run them? Let's just throw them out here, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't really feel much of a Grade 1, really, because if any of the horse except for Express Train wins this, you'd probably turn around and say they're not a Grade 1 winner then.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So
I mean, to be fair, I did write a preview for this early in the week, and I put down Express Train, and I've kind of talked myself into wanting Stiletto Boy to win, because I keep going back to that piece of form in the Awesome again when he was second ahead of Express Train around Santa Anita. I think there's a reason to go for Stiletto Boy over Express Train, but I think if you go anywhere else, I'm not sure I could make much of a case.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with Express Train and ride it out until they lose.
And I'll be going Stiletto Boy then. So finally, we've got the Frank E. Kilroe Mile, which is another Grade 1. It's over a mile on the turf with a purse of $500,000. This is a bit more of an interesting betting race because we've got 12 in here, and I think that you could probably make a case for a fair few of them.
Yeah, and not only that, but we got a lot of our old friends coming back for this one, don't we? We got a lot. We've talked about these horses a lot, and this is a great betting race. It's a great betting race, and I'm fearful that we landed on the same horse because we tend like how does Space Traveler not show up well here and win?
Oh, see, I'm not with him today.
He took a really nice third in the oh my gosh, my brain is the Pegasus.
The Pegasus, yeah.
And like, what shame is there losing the Colonelium? Not much, you know. Um, I, I look at the prices and I just go, this is an exotic player's dreams, you know, like playing exactas, trifectas, superfectas. I mean, Jamie Spencer's coming into ride. That's got to mean something here.
I mean, there's not an awful lot going on over here on the flat though, so
Yeah,
it's probably looking for something to do.
it's a long flight for that race, all the way to California, is what I'm saying.
But there's worse places to be flying to. I'm sure you'll
Yeah,
take a week in California for a little bit.
that's true. Where did you land?
So I quite like Beyond Brilliant in here. Again, a bit of a price, a top weight as well. She's a previous Grade 1 winner. She was the winner of the Hollywood Derby, wasn't she, in November, over 1 1/8 miles at Del Mar. And she was last seen over this course and distance in December, where she finished second behind Law Professor in the Grade 2 Lathis Brothers Mile. And I think going back down to a mile here, I think he's a really good play. I think at a slightly bigger price.
I don't blame you, man. That day that they won the Hollywood Derby cost me so much money. I remember Kent DeSormo bringing him home. Gets Victor Espinoza, who's a really solid rider. I don't blame you for landing there. I don't think they get the lead as easy as I think it's going to happen for them. I don't think they're going to be going that slow. But we'll see, because in all honesty, I think Bob and Jackie are also going to go to the lead with Beyond Brilliant. I think there are some other horses that might show some speed. And so, like, when I'm looking at who's this going to set up for, right? I kind of do think Law Professor might come back and get this one as well. Like, and Abel Cedillo, good rider. He's got good recent form. I might be going the 6'8" exacta box, but I don't blame your Beyond Brilliant pick at all.
Could you make a bit of a case for Subconscious in here? So he won in Stakes Company last year, and he landed the Twilight Derby over 1 1/8 at Santa Anita. He's another one I think that could be interesting in here.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, they won the Twilight Derby here. They took a nice second last out. And if they're going to do it from sitting just off the pace, why doesn't this horse have a shot? This is the dartboard of all dartboard races. So, I mean, honestly, I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 horses that I think out of 12 that can win this race. And I'd be like, okay. And I'm just ripping up my tickets and moving on to the next race.
I think you could probably make a case for every one of the horses here, which are in single digits.
Yes. Which, is 10. I wouldn't be surprised if Whisper Not shows back up and wins a race at 50.
I would like that, to be fair. I wouldn't mind a Whisper Not win.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's the 15 to 1 long shot that I'm like, okay, yeah, not surprised.
So where you landed on that then?
Space Traveler, Jamie Spencer's taking a long ride to get on this one, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Beyond Brilliant, but I do think Subconscious has got a decent chance in there as well.
See, we don't just pick all chalk. There we go. We got some prices for you: 5-1, 8-1, and then Law Professors by 6-1, second choice.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more value in that race there than there has been in the other races we spoke about today.
True, that's true.
So what would you say your best bet of the weekend would be?
Forbidden Kingdom, beating the Baffords again, showing up, getting our tickets into the Kentucky Derby, which I'll be there, by the way. Did I tell you? I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm all in on Forbidden Kingdom. And I mean, I think if he wins today, then you'll see his price come down, won't you, for the Derby itself anyway?
I think so. I think you might be looking at maybe not the favorite, but I think the odds go from 25 to 12-1 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. So, that just about rounds us off this week. We'll be back next Friday. I think we're going to be looking a bit at Cheltenham next week, aren't we?
I think so. We might go across the pond over to your side of the world for a few.
Oh, let's do it. Okay, until next Friday then. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We'll see you next week at the same time. Have a great weekend.
Like and subscribe.
See you later.